And I think that's, you touched on another point, which is like, you know, black music, black American music is so globally central. Like we all, like you could go to Argentina and some kid who doesn't speak a word of English, but knows every word to every Al Green song. You know what I mean? So it's like our music is so globally central, and so I'm interested in making our images the same, I guess, in a way. Like I love Arthur Jaffa, who's a filmmaker and artist, who we actually had on the Night at the Cinema program. You know, his whole mantra, which I really like, is he has this like movie studio that he calls it TNEG. The mantra is, we're interested in making essentially black cinema that is as powerful, that kind of replicates the power, beauty, and alienation of black music. So yeah, they're interested in making black cinema as central to culture in the 21st century as black music was central to the world in the 20th century. So I love that idea. I love that.
So it's funny, like I can't help but to think that and I'm not sure if you've heard this before, but some of the things that you're saying seems to there seems to be like this James Baldwin-esque kind of influence that's there.
Oh yeah.
And the just in your approach of how you're viewing both your art as well as America.
Yeah.
How much of an influence has he been? Or are you even familiar with his work? Or I would imagine that you are.
Yeah, no, huge influence. I mean, I was just reading it. It's by my bed. Book of all his stories. I read him all the time. I read his letters. Just look up the whole community of people he was in conversation with. I mean, he wrote a letter, I think, back to who was it to? I can't remember who he wrote this letter to, but when he went to Paris, he wrote a letter back home to someone in New York, and he was like, you know, I feel more at home in Paris now. I feel more like myself in Paris. It's funny how I have to leave home to really understand who I am, kind of thing. And I very much like identify with that. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes home can start to feel too second nature.
Have you seen the Miles Davis documentary on Netflix?
I need to watch that. No, I haven't seen it.
Yo, I highly recommend it. And it's talking about, I mean, obviously, like, they were contemporaries, right? Like, like they were moving around at the same time. And a lot of what James Baldwin was talking about, I mean, like, the documentary on Miles Davis goes into detail about what that experience was, and even what it was like being in relationships, you know, with white women in Paris, and then how that translated, like, coming back to the States, and like the you know, some of the separation anxiety that he had. Like, I highly recommend that.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out.